Welcome everyone to Formula One Focus on our Megaphone Sports Motorsport channel. Make sure you subscribe. This is a different channel to our rugby channel, so make sure you're a subscriber here as well. Now, Miami, what a race. Who saw that coming? But I must be honest, I made a point of it, and whoever I spoke to before the weekend, I made it clear that I think McLaren stands a very good chance of actually pulling off a surprise and winning this one. Initially, I thought that Lando might end up on pole position for the race, the main race, but that didn't happen. But he was only 0.2 of a second off the pole position anyway, so he was quite confident about being able to pull something off. And did he pull it off? For the first time in 110 races, he won the race. And Andrea Stella, the team boss of McLaren, who I credit with most of McLaren's recent turnaround success, made it clear that he always felt that if they gave Lando the right car, that he would win the race for them, and this proved him right. The weekend started off a little bit on the back foot for McLaren. Did it well in practice and qualifying, but in the sprint race, Lando was knocked off at the first corner through no fault of his own, and it was business as usual. But when qualifying came around, McLaren ended up in 5th place behind the Red Bulls and the Ferraris, like I said, but Lando felt quite confident. And when the race started, Oscar Piastri was the beneficiary of a bit of a, I don't know what the word is, but a crazy moment by Sergio Perez trying to go down the inside, repeating what Hamilton couldn't do in the sprint race on Saturday. And just basically going on, crossing the entire track without hitting anybody, miraculously. But Piastri took advantage of that and ended up in 3rd place at the start of the race. Max started pulling away, but not as much as we used to. And Leclerc was soon passed by the very rapid McLaren after the 10 upgrades for the weekend. And he started chasing down Max, to the extent that Red Bull actually gave an instruction to Max to speed up things a bit, because he wasn't building the lead as we used to Red Bull doing, and McLaren looked very dangerous. Lando was told to chase down Sainz after Leclerc pitted, which he did, and everybody was just sort of waiting around for the safety car that was expected and normally comes out in this race. And then everybody started pitting, including Piastri from 2nd place, and just after that, Kevin Magnussen had another brain fade moment. I don't know what's going on with the guy, but he keeps accumulating penalty points and penalties in the races and the likes. I think he's on the verge of one race ban very, very shortly. I don't know what's going on with him. He seems to be a bit reckless this year, and he just says that he's doing it for the team. But the move that he tried to pull on poor old Logan Sargent in the race that he really wanted to prove himself, his home race, was indicative of someone who's not really thinking that straight. I don't think so. I think Magnussen needs to be disciplined quite severely, or maybe even taken out of Formula One for a while, because honestly, he's becoming a danger to everyone around him. But anyway, Lando had the perfect opportunity to take advantage of the safety car, which he duly did. Pitted under the safety car, fitted a pair of hards, came back out. Safety car was so used to being catching up with Max being in the lead that initially that's what he did, and then they realized that Lando is the guy that was leading the race, so I had to catch up with Lando to end up behind him. That bought a bit of time, and at the restart, Lando was a bit early on the restart, but clearly through inexperience more than anything else. But he was able to keep the Red Bull behind him. Like I said before, this McLaren seems to be pretty rapid. And like I mentioned before, they brought 10 upgrades this weekend to Miami. And the best part of all is that they reckon this is not the real upgrade. This does not address the real weak points of the McLaren up to now. And that's coming soon. So I can only imagine that the McLaren will be even stronger in future. Carlos Sainz had a bit of a whine about being a lap late to the safety car, that he reckons he could have won it. And during the race, I was a bit disappointed with his behavior. He went on and on about Piastri supposedly pushing him off the track, which he didn't do. He had a very ambitious overtaking move around the outside. Piastri was having none of it, and he made sure to keep his position. And he sort of lost his temper a bit, I think Sainz did, a bit of a red mist descending. And then he tried a very ambitious move down the inside at turn 17, locked up the rears, and in the process damaged Piastri's front wing, which put pay to a very promising race by the young Australian in the McLaren, and he had to go back to the pits to have his nose replaced. He proved the pace of the McLaren during the course of the race, ending up with the fastest lap. Didn't bring him any points. As we know, the points are only awarded if you have the fastest lap and you're under the 10, you're in the top 10. But the point is that Piastri's race was ruined by a little bit of a, I don't know, a stupid move by Sainz, which I wouldn't have expected. And I was a bit disappointed to him after the race, also saying, yeah, but Piastri should have been penalised and likes. And of course, the stewards agreed with me. They agreed that the incident with Piastri, initial incident, didn't warrant any further action. But Sainz's overtaking move on Piastri that cost him his race led to a 5-second penalty for Sainz and demoted him to 5th place for the race. In terms of the race itself, Lando went on after the restart to pull out a 7.5-second lead over Max, which is unprecedented. I don't think the McLaren really has the pace to just be faster, that much faster than the Red Bull. After the race, Christian Horner specifically said that Max's car's floor had a hole in it, which they suspect might have come about because of Max collecting the cone in one of the chicanes, and which led to the first virtual safety car. That damaged the car, and Max was complaining about the handling throughout the race, but he was also complaining right from the start about the car not being exactly where he wanted it to be, and the McLaren just being a much better car on the day. So for this weekend, the McLaren proved to be the fastest car. Lando secured his first victory, very, very popular win. Every single driver in the pits came to congratulate him, all the team players, even Ferrari and other teams posted on social media to congratulate him. It's not something that you see that often. It shows you how popular Lando Norris is. And for a dyed-in-the-wool McLaren supporter like myself, this was vindication of sticking to my team through thick and thin. I just hope they can continue this, and I'm looking forward to the upgrades coming that will improve the McLaren even further. Ferrari, I think, were caught a little bit on the back foot with the pace of the McLaren. They reckon they're going to bring some upgrades to Imola, the next race. Not major ones, but still upgrades nonetheless. But I think McLaren is here to stay. Again, I want to say that Andrea Stella is doing a stellar job, on the pun, of bringing McLaren back to the front of the grid in a relatively short period of time. At the beginning of last year, McLaren was basically the slowest car in the field when testing started at Bahrain. And they went from that last year in Miami, not even qualifying in Q3, to winning the race. Shows you how much work this team has put in, and how much I think the new infrastructure is already paying off. Some of the new hires, Rob Marshall from Red Bull and the likes, all making a contribution to making the McLaren a front runner again, which I think is where they belong. The one thing that I want to just talk about briefly is whether Red Bull can continue being the dominant team that they are now that everybody knows that Adrian Newey is leaving. And I think I can't see them falling apart like the other teams that Adrian Newey left in the past, like McLaren and Williams did. I think Christian Horner is far too savvy and operator to be caught out by this move of Adrian Newey. This wasn't something that happened last week. It's been coming for a while. It's been telegraphed for a while, and I'm sure that Newey's departure was planned for. Peter Washay is basically the guy running that side of the business anyway, according to Christian Horner, even though Adrian Newey's wife called it hogwash in a reply to one of the social media tweets where Horner said that Adrian Newey's role wasn't that big anymore or that important anymore. So everybody's watching Red Bull, see if they're going better, but also now everybody's watching McLaren to see if they can continue their upward trajectory. How's Ferrari going to respond? Italian race next time. We're going to be sure to make sure that upgrades that Ferrari makes them a bit more competitive. Interesting to see that Williams is making a point of saying that they are negotiating or having a chat with Adrian Newey. We know that he started there, or early in his career, he worked with Williams. Made him very successful before leaving to go to McLaren. And I think it will be sort of a full circle for him to end his career at Williams, although I'd seriously doubt it. I think all the signs are there that he's going to end up at Ferrari. Clearly, it looks like he wouldn't have to go live in Italy to be able to work with Ferrari. He spends a lot of time in South Africa, on our shores here, and he'll be able to work virtually as much as he possibly can, being a consultant and still bringing his vast expertise to the Ferrari team. And that will fulfill one of his bucket list items, or two of them actually, one working for Ferrari and the other one working with Lewis Hamilton. And all kinds of hints were dropped over the weekend that he might be going to Ferrari, shaking the hands of Pietro Ferrari on the grid. Lewis's little smile when he was asked about it in the press conference, and various other things. Fred Vasseur, I must say, is actually making a big difference at Ferrari. They seem to be getting the act together and becoming a serious threat again. Anyway, that was a very exciting Miami Grand Prix. I hope you enjoyed this video. Watch out for our video later this week. If all goes according to plan, we will chat to Fred Wood again about what he knows about what went on behind the scenes.